Hello, everybody. Today we are going to look at the topic of stretching yourself to speak with greater conviction. Many of you know are regular followers of me. You know my book, Communicate with Mastery. The subtitle of it is Speak with Conviction and Write for Impact. Everything I talk about in today's newsletter is going to be about how to speak with greater conviction so that you are able to deliver your message and your information, whether it's in a pitch or a presentation, a talk, or just an informal meeting, with a greater sense of conviction and confidence. Now, how we're going to look at this is pretty straightforward and simple. It's not a complex structure today. First of all, we're going to look at what is it that you do before the presentation. Now, for some of you, just raising your hand and putting yourself out there is going to be stretching yourself enough and saying, I'm willing to talk on that, or I'm willing to research that topic. Others of you pitch regularly. You are often invited to speak, but you just want to do it with greater mastery and greater conviction. And so the strategy would be, give your talk a title. Maybe give your talk a title weeks before it happens, rather than, as I sometimes do, the night before it happens. My husband, who's often heard me talk about, Ken, is a minister, and he will do his talk titles sometimes 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks in advance and share it with his staff so they can begin planning the music and the visuals. But as that talk gets closer, he's been practicing what Adam Grant calls precrastination, where he's put it out there and now he's thinking about it and letting the idea percolate as it gets closer and closer to the date. And finally, before the talk, prep as you've never done before. If you're somebody who doesn't prep at all, maybe this is the talk to do an outline for. Or if you're somebody who always does an outline, maybe it's a time to do a deeper outline and maybe work on your slides further in advance. As I'm preparing this right now, one of my colleagues, John Nelson, is delivering a talk that I've been helping him for a conference at a Syllabar. And he told me the other day, he goes, JD, I have prepped in ways that I've never prepped before. Now for him, that's stopping short of an actual rehearsal, but he's putting himself out there in ways that he hasn't before. Then, during the talk, think about what it is that you're going to speak, the content you're going to deliver, how you're going to use your voice, and how you're going to look while speaking it. So, in terms of the words that you share, if the verbal part of your presentation, if you're somebody who usually does storytelling, maybe this is the time to lean into stats and figures. If you're somebody who usually does statistics and figures, maybe this is the time to do storytelling with data, or lean into the qualitative data instead of the quantitative data. Think about doing something that is just a little outside your comfort zone to stretch yourself with your content. And then stretch yourself with your voice. Have a bit more vocal animation than you usually do. Perhaps it's in the midst of a story where you say, I had no idea what was going to happen next. But then he walked in, and here's what he told me. And it's a little bit of vocal animation. Or if you're somebody who speaks at a very monotone, maybe it's one place that you want to have a lot of gravitas, and you're gonna demonstrate gravitas by going slow and going low. When we go into our lower register and we slow down our cadence, it signals to the audience, I'm delivering something that's different. So not only stretching yourself vocally, but think about how you're going to stretch yourself visually. This isn't your use of slides, but it's your body language, the way in which you're dressed, the eye contact you're making, either directly with the camera like I'm doing if you're on Zoom, or directly with the individuals in the room. Maybe it's adding a little bit to your sense of gestures. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you want to push yourself to show up in a way that you have your A game on. I love the story about the GSB student several years ago that went out and bought a new suit ready for his interview to get into Stanford's business school. And 24 hours before the interview, it was moved from an in-person interview to a virtual interview because of weather. You know what he did that day? He got up, he put on his suit, and he was all ready. And it wasn't even a video call, it was a phone call. But he dressed for the part because that's what he knew would allow him to do his best. He got accepted, got in, graduated, and is doing great things now. So what you do during the talk itself, that stretches you just a little. Don't completely change everything that you usually do, but push yourself to change a little bit. And then what is it that you're going to do after the talk? Now, for many of you, it's very painful to watch the video, watching yourself on video. That could be one of the best ways to stretch yourself. I'll include a link in the newsletter to the article that we have on how to watch your video effectively. Maybe it's sharing the video, either on social media with a large group of people or with just a few individuals. Sending it to a mentor and saying, you helped inspire me in doing this. Or sending it to somebody you want to do business with and say, hey, I delivered this talk at a conference. I thought you'd like to see what I had to say about this subject. It's never been easier than it is today to create reels out of the talks that we deliver. So maybe it's just having a short reel that you put yourself out there. Or perhaps the way you stretch yourself isn't related to video at all. It's asking the person who invited you if you could have that chance again. If you deliver a longer presentation at the next conference or in the next meeting. Or asking people who watch for their feedback to help you stretch yourself, that this is something you're committed to doing and committed to doing more of. And so as we think about the talks, the pitches, the presentations that we deliver, now is the opportunity. We're right here on the cusp of a new month, a new quarter. We're in the new season of spring. Push yourself to stretch. Today when we deliver this, it's my husband's birthday, and he often says, take the baby steps, because the baby steps aren't small for the baby. Just doing a little bit to stretch yourself inside of each presentation or pitch or talk that you deliver allows you to have that commitment to communicating with mastery. In fact, on the day that this is being delivered, I'm stretching myself by attending a conference of funders and founders in neuroscience and AI, way beyond the areas that I usually operate, because I'm stretching myself to communicate with greater mastery and to coach with greater mastery people who are up to big things in life. So with that, I enjoyed sharing this 8-minute talk with you. I'd love to hear in the comments below how you're using what we've talked about doing before, during, and after your next presentation to stretch yourself and be able to speak with greater conviction. Let me know how it goes.